Lane. Christ Center presents Let's Talk About Love, a program focusing on romantic and family relationships. Our church is located at 1615 West Shelton Avenue in the heart of West Oak Lane in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19126. Our phone number, 215-LIVRITE, Live Right. Our teacher is pastor and counselor and 8-time author, Dr. David R.L. Stevens. This is a listener-supported program. All donations should be made out to Christ Center Church of God and Mark Radio. And now, here is our teacher, Dr. Stevens.
Hello there. I'm Dr. David Stevens. The name of our broadcast is Let's Talk About Love. And this is the day after Christmas. I certainly hope you had a very merry and a very blessed Christmas. This is the season that we remember the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And it's not about you, it's not about me, it's all about Him. And I trust that your time, your Christmas time, was a pleasant one. It's a great time when family can get together and celebrate. Not so much just the gift giving. I guess that's important too. But just the fellowship, to be able to express love one to the other. Okay, welcome to radio's fastest 15 minutes, and we're going to get started here. I'm going to read from my book called Marriage Catching a Second Wind, and I'm going to read from chapter 1. I think this is very important. It's called Say It Power. That's right, Say It Power. Say it. Do it, say it, be it. Say it, live it. Say it, feel it. Say it, follow it. Say it, dream it. Say it, want it. Say it, I am it. The power of life and death, Proverbs 18:21 says, is in the tongue. God created this world to run on principles. These principles are the fuel that drives the product. Or as Bette Midler sang it, the wind beneath my wings. Principles matter because God blesses our lives in response to our following the trail. Be you Christian, Jew, Muslim, atheist, or any other religion, the principles of operation are the same. Follow them and be blessed. That's the way God designed our world. The path is set before us. His instructions are clear. Miss them, and the struggle becomes confusing and lifeless. The very first principle is found in the manual of life called the Bible. Just like any manufacturer of a product, a book of operations is supplied to help you use the product to its highest and fullest capacity. The first principle is right there in Genesis chapter 1, verse 3. Get a Bible and read it for yourself. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Following verse 3, God 12 times either said or called into existence a new creation. So actually 13 times in all, we see Him speak new creation into existence. That is pretty compelling documentation to me. I'm comfortable in calling this first principle of operation the principle of saying. What you say matters. Do you realize that your ear is approximately 5 inches away from your mouth? What you say is picked up by your own ears faster than the next person's ear. Now, you have chosen to read this book because it promised to talk about marriage. Up to now, you may think that it has not lived up to its promise. My friend, from the very first sentence, I have been talking about just that. Marriage begins with the principle of saying. Isn't it interesting that we actually follow this biblical principle without even thinking about it in performing the marriage? First you say it, and then you do it. We expect in our tradition for a couple to stand at an altar, make promises of commitment, fidelity, and trust, then after the official pronouncement, go off and start their marriage. This is how God planned it and designed it. Trying to enter any other way will cause problems. Why, you ask? My best answer is simply to say because that's how God designed it. In another situation, Jesus describes a person trying to get into a destination by climbing up some other way other than the prescribed way. Jesus described that person as a thief and a robber. Call me old-fashioned, if you will, but scriptural principles do work, and do work well. I encourage readers to turn to the manufacturer's manual of life to gather life-changing principles. The Bible is brimming over with these helps. They will revolutionize your life. In both of my previous books, Marriage, the Corridors, Castles and Conflicts, and Marriage, the Rules of the Game, I tried to lay out what I call the T-plan, or the triangular plan. This plan is found first in Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. This plan provides a three-pronged basis for marriage, namely the process of leaving, the legal element of public separation, and then cleaving, the public act of vowing love, fidelity, and enduring commitment. And thirdly, sexual intimacy, expressed as becoming one flesh. Isn't it interesting that the first principle of saying is tied so intricately to these three elements in the T-plan? First you say it, then you do it. The very first official act of marriage is in the leaving element. The couple publicly, verbally confesses to leave their former condition of singleness in exchange for a new role of joining each other in a tandem relationship. No minister of the gospel or any other person permitted to perform marriages will proceed without the couple making or acknowledging some vows of commitment. You must say it before you are legally, spiritually allowed to do it physically. In the T-plan, whose concept I have borrowed from the late author Walter Trobisch, I teach readers that they must publicly, verbally declare their independence from their former single life. This declaration includes a separation from the former child-parent-dependent relationship. They have now declared that they are on their own. Two people standing in the park under a chestnut tree making a private declaration does not count in the eyes of God. The only kind of exception I can think of is if the two people were on a lonely island with no other people around to perform a ceremony and witness this coming together. It would have to be something that bizarre in order to qualify. Then after the legal public declaration of leaving comes the public pledge to love, honor, and obey, etc., which would encompass and satisfy the second element of our triangle. That's cleaving. I don't think most sane people would want to marry someone who did not at least make some kind of promise to love and provide for them. Love is more than the romance that comes to mind when the word is mentioned. Yes, definitely. There should be a romance attached, but with it comes a commitment to a tender, caring friendship, non-competition, and lifelong devotion. The third element of our triangle, stated in the Bible as one flesh, is symbolized in the ceremony by the wedding kiss. Yes, but even this is done by the command, "You may kiss your bride." Next comes the final words, "I pronounce you man and wife," followed by, "Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Just Got Married." This officially indicates that the practice of what was said can now begin to be an entity. First you say it, then you do it. Okay, you say, I got it. Why are you leading off with this particular principle? My answer is because I think we can launch a solid treatise on marriage using this same principle. First, say it, then do it. This is a very strong principle, but its strength may be underestimated by the uninformed. I believe just like we can speak positive things into existence, We can speak negative things into existence if we are not cautious. Johnny and Amanda got used to saying all kinds of negative things to each other, about each other, and Johnny complained that Amanda was a terrible cook and did not have any possibility of ever getting any better. We have all heard of self-fulfilling prophecies, and she adopted this as truth, so she made no effort at doing any better. Then she, in turn, charged her husband with being all thumbs when it came to the simplest of house repairs. Johnny never, ever even tried to fix one thing in their house. This caused them to have to pay a handyman to come in for almost everything. He did not cut grass, paint, shovel snow, or even change car tires. It seemed that even changing light bulbs presented a challenge. Because he convinced Amanda that cooking was just plainly out of reach for her, they ate out very often, and TV warm-up dinners became her specialty. Just look at the money they wasted because they managed to talk away each other's confidence. Not being satisfied to criticize and harass each other face to face, they also berated each other to their children. This, of course, helped to implant the same kind of negative junk into the minds of their children. In fact, if they had really paid some attention to the two children, they would have noticed they were learning to be negative as well. Their children had begun severely criticizing and condemning each other. That's what their parents were teaching them. I really like the way Tara and Donald Peace started off their marriage. They were so encouraging to each other at all times. Each told the other how wonderful they felt about the things the other had done. When Donald told Tara about the splendid meal she prepared, it encouraged her on the next effort. When Tara thanked Donald for his thoughtfulness, it just inspired him to do it more. Now this to some might seem a little sophomoric, relegated only to newlyweds, but I have watched them for over 15 years. They continue to follow the same pattern. Perhaps if some of these skeptics who have been married for a while would adopt some of this freshness, it would add some spice to their relationship. To this day, I continue to thank my wife for each meal she places before me. She in turn continues to thank me for every dinner we eat out. We try not to take each other for granted. Our positive words continue to spur our positive actions. When growing up, my family always taught me to say positive things, and it has worked for me through life. Because of that nurturing, I've always taught our children to say positive things. Hopefully, this pattern will continue in the Stevens ancestral line for as long as we go on. With this principle in mind, I always try to caution couples about speaking negatively about their marriage. It will only cause you to see and focus on the more unpleasant aspects. I usually refer to Philippians chapter 4, verse 8, that urges us to focus on what is good. We can actually add in Proverbs 17:22 that says, "A merry heart does good like a medicine. Saying that which is good will make for a merry heart." Okay, we're up against the clock. Radio's fastest 15. I'm going to say goodbye to you now.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Let's Talk About Love. This program has been presented by Christ Center Church of God, 1615-19 West Shelton Avenue in the heart of the West Oak Lane section of Philadelphia. Our speaker has been Dr. David Stevens, pastor, counselor, and award-winning author. This radio program is listener-sponsored, and we do solicit your prayers and donations. See you next time on Let's Talk About Love.